Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we are going to take a look at another of these older Invicta figures, and it's one that, as far as I'm concerned, kind of gets looked over a lot, and I don't really know why. Until a few years ago, I actually didn't even know it existed because people talk about it so little. But this is their Stenonychosaurus, which would also be a Troodon, as far as the nameplate here on the underside tells us. So, this is a really cool Invicta figure, and very different than most of their figures, because one thing that's definitely quite different is the fact that it has a base included, and you don't really see that too much with any of the Invictas. In fact, I can't even remember any others besides this one that had a base, so that straight away has a very different feel to it, but also the fact that the dinosaur has its tail up off of the ground. It's not in a tripod position, which is another thing that the Invicta line was always kind of known for, having the vintage look. Of course, these figures, this one specifically, I think it said was 1987 or 1988. Yeah, 1988, I believe, would be the time that this was released, so we were all still looking at dinosaurs with that tripod type of a look back then. So it's really interesting to see this one with the tail up off the ground as well. But regardless, I think the figure is beautiful overall. I am a big fan of this figure specifically, so let's go ahead and get a closer look at it right now. So looking up here at the head sculpt, you can see the head sculpt looks really good as far as the skin texture goes and the skin detailing. Specifically right in this area, there's a lot of skin wrinkling going on, and it really nicely shows the movement of the dinosaur. And one thing that I feel like is very interesting as far as this figure goes is that it has a very ostrich type of an appearance to it. As far as I'm concerned, I really get that feeling, so they kind of did a great job as far as representing this figure in a bird-like fashion, so definitely really cool on the part of Invicta. Looking at the head again on this side, you can see a little bit of some scuffs or something that's on mine, but the eye is very large. The eye socket is really nicely sculpted out, as is the mouth area, and then the nostrils as well look really good. He almost has like a grin, like he's very unhappy. Looks like a very grumpy looking figure, very grumpy dinosaur. And again, once you get back here right behind the skull area, you can see the skin kind of wrinkling and bunching up. The skin detail of this is fantastic. You can even see the ear sculpted out right there. Beautiful scaling as we lead down the neck. You can see that the scaling is really nice, very fine. Of course, being an Invicta figure, it's all one solid color, so I feel like that kind of sometimes drowns out the detail, but with the light kind of shining on it as we turn it, you can really see how fantastic that sculpt work is. Coming down here into the body, you can see some nice skin wrinkling and skin detail there. As far as the arm moving the skin, the arm sculpt looks really good. The hands are not that great, but they don't look bad. They still look pretty decent. Coming up here into the stomach again sports some fantastic skin texture. Really nice detailing. You can also get a sense of the spinal column running down along the dinosaur, and that scaling looks great right here as well. Look at how beautiful that is. The skin texture on this figure is just honestly fantastic. Same deal with this area right here. Again, really nice. You can see kind of some of the musculature there, and even the skin stretching off of the back of the leg with the positioning of the leg, the skin bunching up right there and everything. The overall detailing of the dinosaur as far as the movement is beautifully shown throughout the sculpt of this dinosaur figure. And then the foot sculpt down here looks decent enough. Again, it's not that great, but it's not bad. And it looks pretty good for the most part as far as the nails go. You've got the ankle there and everything, so I think the feet are probably the weakest area of the figure because there's just not as much detail included. Actually, the feet and the hands, because they're just not as detailed as you see elsewhere, but they still look decent enough. Again, not that bad. And then we move back here into the tail, and you can see that that skin texture continues the entire way out the tail, and it looks great for sure. Beautiful detailing. Look at the skin detail all up here in the neck, right around the head. That is just honestly mind-boggling. For this figure to have come out in the 80s and to sport this much work and detail, man, I wish Invicta was still making figures today, because they would do an incredible job. Even down here at the base of the neck, you can see kind of some skin wrinkling right there as the dinosaur is pushing its head up, bunching the skin up right there at the base of the neck. That looks really nice. Again, the arm sculpt looks good on this side, but it's almost in the same position as the previous side, so you don't see too much going on as far as movement here that you don't see over there. And then you've got the shoulder blade protruding from the skin a little bit there. You can pick up on the rib cage a little here in the stomach region as I turn it. That looks extremely nice. Very realistic appearance to that. And then again, the skin texture looks fantastic all over the body. You've got the hip bone right there really nicely protruding from the skin. The musculature again, and that really nice skin texture as we lead down into the foot. The foot actually I think looks a little better on this side than the previous side, but again it's kind of smooth as far as the texture of the skin on the foot, so there's just not as much detail included down there as there is elsewhere on the figure, because otherwise the skin texture on this is just off the charts phenomenal. And you can see that same deal out here onto the tail. And then looking at the base is nothing more than like an earthy area. Probably is some dust and stuff all over mine, because again it's been in that box that I received all these rare figures in, but I think it looks pretty good, and it's really cool to see a base included with an Invicta figure. As far as a size goes, for a height we've got just under 5 inches or around 12.5 centimeters, and for a length you've got it at about 6.25 inches or around 16 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon, showing that this figure actually is pretty sizable. It's not huge or anything, but I definitely don't think it's small either. They did a very good job as far as their decision on the size of the figure, enough that it really can show some incredible detail and some decent size, but not being overly small or overly large. Pretty much a perfect size. So this Invicta Stenonychosaurus is fantastic. A really beautiful looking figure. Of course it's long outdated, very outdated as far as the sculpt, and even the fact that it doesn't include feathers or anything like that. But regardless, I still think that the overall detailing of this figure is off the charts. Ridiculously nice sculpt work as far as the skin texture goes. The beautiful detailing of the body everywhere is honestly mind-blowing. I can just sit here and talk about how incredible the skin detail is on this figure forever, but I think you guys got a pretty good sense of that when we were taking a nice close look, and you can obviously tell that the skin texture on this figure is just incredible. The paintwork, of course, is just blah. There's nothing really to it. To the Invicta figures, there's pretty much never any real paint. They did release a few repainted versions that did actually include some paint to them, but the original line, the original run of figures never did include paint, and I don't think this one specifically ever had the actual repaint. I believe it was always just this one solid color. I could be wrong, and if I am, please in the comments let me know, but I don't think that this one had a repaint. So it's always just been this one color, and I would love to get a hold of another one of these at some point to repaint, just to see how incredible the detail on this figure would look with paint on it, because it really is incredible. But again, the solid coloration of the Invicta figures was part of their charm as far as I'm concerned, and I really wouldn't have it any other way as far as keeping that one original figure. I actually love the figures being that one solid color, because it's just that very nostalgic feel of those Invicta figures that I love, and this one pretty much embraces everything that Invicta has to offer. Beautiful sculpt and detail for its time, just an absolutely fantastic figure. So, again, being an Invicta from 1988, it's long discontinued, so it's probably going to be a little pricey to get a hold of, but I will do my best in the description to link you guys to somewhere where you can purchase this. I'll find the cheapest place possible, probably eBay with the cheapest listing, but even that may be a little bit pricey. So regardless, check the description. Hopefully I'll find a decently priced version of this, and make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.